Hello everyone, my name is Pixlriffs and welcome back to another Minecraft Java Edition snapshot video. This is Snapshot 21w39a, the latest snapshot for the Caves and Cliffs update part 2, and this is the most advanced snapshot we've seen so far, for a couple of reasons, first of which is that there are new advancements added to the game, and in this video I'm going to start a fresh new single player world and we're going to try and get all of these advancements in a hard world with cheats off. I'm not going to go hardcore because I don't want to reset my progress if I end up dying, which I probably will, because one of these advancements does involve falling from the build height to the bedrock, or at least from the top to the bottom of the overworld, according to the changelog. So I'm loading up a fresh new world, we're going to start from scratch, and we're going to try our best to get these advancements as quickly as possible. Already we've made a very, very good start because we've started off in a jungle. I'm going to grab a little bit of wood, but I'm also going to grab some bamboo, because I think the best way to get to build height is probably going to be with some scaffolding. We might have to do a little bit more at build height though, so let's get started and explain what exactly these advancements are. The first one on the list is called Caves and Cliffs, and you get that one just for falling from the top of the world to the bottom. Immediately after that comes the advancement Feels Like Home, for riding a strider on lava for 50 blocks in the overworld. So we're going to have to either find a cave with a ton of lava or set up some kind of lava course, bring a strider back from the Nether and see if we can ride it that distance in the overworld. Then the other thing we need to do at the build height limit is Star Trader, for trading with a villager at the build height limit, which you'll remember in Minecraft 1.18 has now been shifted to Y320. So we're going to have to take a villager higher than a villager has ever been before. And for a little bit of extra fun, the final advancement on this list is Sound of Music, for playing music with a jukebox in a meadow biome. So let's grab a few more resources from around here. Let's try and find some bamboo while we're in this jungle biome, and then let's step a little further afield to see if we can get started on these advancements. This snapshot does, of course, have a few other bits and pieces that they've added. There aren't any major features like the warden in the game yet, so we haven't really got stuff like that to cover this time around. There are a couple of minor tweaks that I think will be worth looking at if we get a chance to later in the video, but I'm going to save those for a bit later. But perhaps the most important change is that this is the first snapshot in which we can upgrade old worlds to the new world format, with higher terrain and lower caves generating beyond the boundaries of existing worlds pre-1.18. So you can, in theory, load up your old worlds in this snapshot, and landscapes like this will generate outside of the areas you have currently explored. Now, unlike Bedrock Edition, unfortunately, the chunk borders are going to be quite noticeable between old and new generation, because on Java Edition, they haven't got the smoothing of those world borders figured out to the point where it's ready for players to test it with their valuable older worlds. So you can upgrade your worlds in this snapshot, but if you do, make sure you make a backup, because chances are you won't want to keep those massive chunk borders in your world. But I'm making my way up into the hills first and foremost. This hill is fantastically rich with iron, thanks to the fact that iron actually generates more commonly the higher up in the world you go once you get above a certain height. So we're at Y143 here, and as you can see, there are patches of iron and coal and even emerald ore in these mountains, which has been there since ore distribution was introduced. But I just thought I'd bring that up as a reminder that if you can't find some iron when you go caving for the first time, chances are going to higher terrain is actually going to serve you pretty well. Not to mention the view is pretty spectacular, and some of the mountain peaks have been changing to make them more jagged. I think these look incredible. It actually feels the way mountain generation was envisioned in that early look at the mountains in Minecraft Live last year, and so I think it's really cool to see some of those mountains taking shape in more jagged peaks. It's not going to happen with every single mountain, but it should happen with a decent amount of them, having those jagged spires all over the place. Is that calcite over there? I don't have a spyglass yet, so I can't zoom in, but that is an awesome vein of calcite running all the way to the top of that mountain in a jagged peak. I'm going to put the seed on the screen real fast so you folks can see that. I'll copy that into the video description, of course. That is quite the spectacular mountain peak, I've got to say. Might as well grab a few more trees while I'm here, since I don't know if I'll be returning to this area, but we will need a bunch of wood if we want to get a villager to the build height. There are a few different ways we can do that, but if we're going to the Nether to get a strider spider at some point anyway. I feel like a soul sand bubble column with water is probably going to be the best way to get a villager all the way up to the top of the world, and that might actually replace the scaffolding as our best bet for falling from build height to bedrock as well. But that should be everything I need to grab from here. I've cooked up my food. We'll cook up the iron when we've made a little bit more progress. Let's head towards the lowlands and see if we can find a village. Aha, no villages yet, but this looks like it's probably a meadow biome to me. We've got a mountainous slope right here leading up to what looks like a snowy grove and then the snowy peaks beyond that. We have a single lonely tree dotted around here and there, and I believe if we find a bee's nest in one of these trees, we'll be able to confirm that we're in a meadow biome. But there are horses, there are sheep. Is this just a plains? It is just a plains, okay, but it looks like a meadow biome is actually just beyond that. Yeah, there we go, we're in a meadow biome now. The monoculture of flowers actually kind of gives it away. You'll usually find just the one type of flower throughout these biomes, but like I said, you will occasionally notice that there are single trees in meadow biomes which will now pretty much be guaranteed to have a bee nest according to the changelog for this snapshot. And I'm wondering if this might actually be a pretty good place to do that. We've got a dripstone cave down here, and I'll probably cook up a little bit of iron so I have at least a shield and some armor as I go down into this cave, but it looks like we've got a pretty decent candidate for a quick trip down to diamond level. I can even see a bit more iron down there. We'd be sure to encounter a bit more copper in this dripstone cave, but now, according to this changelog, we would not encounter any zombies. Drowned could now spawn in aquifers in these dripstone caves, but zombies are going to be basically blocked from spawning in those dripstone environments. So you won't see as many zombies in here, which is going to be an interesting change and potentially a place where players might want to build a mob farm if they want to avoid rotten flesh drops. A creeper has wandered out of the nearby cave. I can hear a skeleton as well, so this might actually be a good opportunity to get a music disc without having to worry about finding a dungeon chest. Now, if that skeleton could come out of the cave, that'd be fantastic. Looks like the skeleton wasn't down here, and now the creeper is coming in after me, so I'm going to have to dispatch him, get that Monster Hunter achievement, and let's see if we can track down another opportunity for a music disc. The creeper is making his way into position. Let's see if we can get the skeleton. Yes, there we go. There's our record. We got a good one as well. I think that's chirped. Oh, it's blocks. Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, blocks is the red one. So all I need to do is sleep and go cave diving and hopefully get hold of some diamonds. And I think I'm just going to gung-ho it straight down into here. Maybe we could find some diamonds down below us in this little ravine area, although it doesn't look like this quite goes down far enough. So yeah, I can hear the drowned as well. I think maybe we'll stop demonstrating the new mechanics and just head on down here. I will grab a little bit more coal before we go too far down as well, because I know coal doesn't generate in the deeper levels, so probably best that we have enough for a few torches before we go really exploring in this place. And look at this. This definitely looks like the right sort of place to look, except for the locals getting a little bit explosive while I'm here. Yeah, let's maybe try washing a few of those away before we... Oh, he's trying to make his way up to us. Before we go exploring in the deep slate areas around here. But this is looking quite promising, I gotta say. Look at this creeper, like, nodding at me as he goes down the waterfall. See you later, buddy. All we're looking for down here is one diamond, though, and I have one in my sights. So all I have to do is hop down here, avoid the zombies, maybe pop down a couple of torches so we don't get too many spawns on the way back. We make a beeline over here for these diamonds, and it looks like we've even got more than one. That's fantastic. All right, 2 diamonds to our name. We've got 2 jukeboxes out of that, I guess. Maybe we can trade the villagers our other diamond if we're feeling especially cheeky about it. But that should be all we need from the deep slate levels for now, until we need to come back down here to fall all the way to bedrock from build height. So I think maybe we should make our way out of the cave. And for people who say they want a grappling hook in Minecraft, I do kind of agree with you, especially with some of these newer, fancier cave environments. But honestly, a bucket of water is your best friend in situations like this. It can really save your bacon when getting out of an environment like that. Well, it looks like we are ready for our first objective to be completed here. We've got the diamonds, we've got the wood, we've got a record. All we need to do is get back to that meadow biome and we can complete one of the advancements. And the meadow biome is just up here. Let's stand here surrounded by cornflowers, appreciating the alpine landscape in the distance, and the hills are alive with the sound of music. Yeah, that's quite enough of that. So the next objectives are all probably going to involve going to find a village. We need to trade with a villager. We need to go to the Nether. I think a village is going to be the best spot to do most of that stuff. So let's do a little bit more exploring, and I'll come back when I've encountered a village. Or when I find some really cool screenshot-worthy or video-worthy stuff, like this cave entrance. What now? This is absurd. There seem to be a lot of dripstone caves in this area, actually. They're generating pretty frequently, and another little aquifer in this one. Lots of copper around that I can see, especially up there, but wow, these environments really are something else. I cannot wait to have a more permanent world to play around with because, oh boy, there's some really, really cool stuff in this. But we're going to have to wait for that until the full release is here and it's got everything that they possibly want to add into the game, so let's not get too hasty. I will never get tired of looking at the Badlands terrain generation in these snapshots though, because wow, that looks cool. Hello, hello. It's not a village, but it could have some riches in store for us. I wouldn't mind raiding a desert temple while I'm here. I decided to explore the desert because I figured a village would be easier to spot with this kind of scenery, but then giant mountains pop up every so often, and yes, there we go, we got a village right over there. I'll be visiting that after I've taken a quick look around the desert temple. And we got a fire protection book. We've got a bunch of bones and gunpowder. We've got an aqua affinity book and a little bit of gold and some emeralds, so that can be our easy trading supplies, and no 3 diamonds this time. The meme dies here. But you know what, I might actually take all of the bones and string with me, because then we could use that to grow some bamboo for scaffolding, or we could use it to grow some kelp for a water elevator. It's looking like there's some potentially good stuff there. And of course we'll need the saddles to ride a strider, so let's make sure we take those with us as well. The village awaits, and this actually looks like a kind of hybrid between a regular plains village and a river biome village of sorts, because they've got the mossy cobblestone worked in as well there. That's spectacular. Okay, let's see what we've got here. Certainly our food problems have been sorted out by the hay bales being there. We've got a cleric. Doesn't look like we have a blacksmith house, unfortunately, but there's plenty of villagers around here to work with. Let's see which one of them wants to be taken to the sky. First of all, let's take the coordinates and let's set our spawn here as well. That way we can make sure that we return here if I end up dying. I need to craft a chest that we can store most of my supplies in, because I'm carrying around diamonds and records and TNT and all sorts of stuff that I can probably just shove in a chest until we actually need it. But our next move is going to be to go to the Nether, probably find a lava pool that I can build a quick Nether portal with. Hey, stop stealing my bed. We need to get ourselves some soul sand, because that's the only way that we're going to be able to get these villagers up to that height in the world easily. It looks like we have another village over here in the savannah. Still no sign of a handy lava pool though. I might need to retrace my steps and head back the way I came, because I definitely spotted a couple of lava pools on the trip over here. I didn't really feel like taking a dip into the Nether until I knew where a village was. The other alternative, of course, is going down as far as possible in the world, finding a lava lake at the bottom of the world, and going to the Nether that way. Which could work. Yep, I thought we weren't going to do it, but here we are back down at deep slate level again, and heading even deeper than we did before. Wow, okay. I think that spider hit a lag spike. Yep, I think running for the bottom of the world is going to be the best way to get hold of a guaranteed lava pool at this point, and while we'll have a little bit further to dig down, we should hopefully hit a cave around here somewhere that's going to make it easy for us. This looks like a promising place to start. How far down are we right now? -45. Okay, so this is where the caves start bottoming out and lava lakes become a little bit more common. There's lava in the walls down that way. Yep, there we go. We've got a lava lake in our sights right away. The cool thing, of course, is that any light in this area is going to be preventing mob spawns, so we are relatively safe as we start to set up a portal here. Of course, the next challenge is going to be how on earth we end up lighting this portal, but one thing at a time. And while I did mess up the water bucket trick a little bit, luckily there is enough lava in this lake that doesn't really matter all that much. This actually looks like it'd make a pretty good place to run our strider as well. I don't know if that's 50 blocks, it probably isn't, but we can make a go of it. So I'm going to try and get this block of wood to light on fire, because I didn't bring anything down here for a flint and steel, but if not, we can go looking for gravel and iron. That shouldn't be too difficult. And in the meantime, my little cave has spawned a glow squid and a creeper. Not only that, but it looks like the lava method ended up working, and the portal is lit, so we didn't need to go and get that at all, but I might as well cook up the iron. We might need a flint and steel to get home. All right, let's brace ourselves, folks. We're going to the Nether. And that was always going to be a possibility. Oh, we're at Y70? Really? This does not feel like we're at Y70. We are in a solid block of netherrack. I really hope the nether generation actually works in this snapshot. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to do what we set out to do here. Well, I can hear piglins moving around and fire crackling, which means that there is at least a surface. And I'm actually kind of concerned now because I realized I didn't bring any gold armor with me to the nether. And while I do want a warped fungus, I can get one from a crimson forest, would rather not be here with a bunch of piglins around me. Okay, yep, there is the surface. I knew I could hear them hunting a hoglin, so maybe I can try and make a run for it and mine a little bit of gold, and then grab a crafting table from one of the nearby trees, assuming the trees have generated at all. Yeah, it looks like we are having the same problem that we had in the previous snapshots, that the nether landscape out here isn't generating with trees at all. That's actually pretty unfortunate. We don't have any nylium, which means we don't have any crimson trees, so that also means no warped fungus, which potentially means no strider riding. That sucks. That's really unfortunate. For good measure, I just checked the Minecraft wiki, and it looks like while you can get crimson fungus as loot in a bastion, you cannot get warped fungus. So unfortunately, my dream of riding a strider in this snapshot ends there. I don't think we'll be able to get any warped fungus any other way. But there is a way we can get soul sand, even if the Soul Sand Valley biome hasn't generated properly, and that is from a nether fortress. Without the ability to ride a strider around at all, since we can't find warped fungus, I don't think finding a nether fortress is going to be all that easy. We're going to have to dig out in various directions from that nether portal that we established and see if we can find a nether fortress that way. So I'm thinking we need to go and acquire some gold from here in this cave so that I'm protected against at least the piglins. And fortunately there's enough here for gold helmet or gold boots, and we should be all set. Although frankly, I'm on the lookout for some diamonds and getting myself a diamond pickaxe because we're going to have to do an awful lot of digging. I'm also going to need to head back to the surface because I messed up and didn't bring any wood with me, so I don't have enough wood for a crafting table or any handles for the pickaxes I could make. And I just broke my last iron pickaxe, so I can't even mine the diamonds I found over here. This is shaping up to be a bit of a disaster. But my salvation could be hanging over there in the distance because I just stumbled upon an abandoned mineshaft. And as long as these skeletons continue fighting amongst themselves, I might actually have a chance of getting to it. Yes, unbelievable. I made it just by bridging around the outside of that room. And of course, there is a cave spider spawner right there. Joke's on you, cave spiders. I can craft torches now. And now, hopefully, if there's no creepers around here, there we go, we can light up that spawner. Hopefully I should be able to grab enough wood that we can make ourselves at least a couple of pickaxe handles, and then I'll be okay. Unbelievable that I found an abandoned mineshaft. Hey, we've even got a golden apple in there and a few spare torches as well. Perfect. Okay, finally we can make a little bit of stuff down here, and I don't really want to explore too much more of this if I'm honest with you. So now I could finally craft all of that wheat I'd been carrying around into bread, could finally get the rest of this iron, and finally mine the diamonds that I spotted over here by this ominous amount of lava. And of course it was just one diamond, but if I head back to the chest on the surface, then I should be able to make myself a diamond pickaxe, or maybe I'll get lucky and find another one here in this cave. Oh, look at that. Right by our lava pool here, I managed to locate some diamonds. We've got a couple in the wall here. Yes, this is looking good. All we would need would be one more, and I'd be able to make 2 diamond pickaxes just with what I had on me, but sadly, it looks like we're only getting 1 this time around. Never mind. That will at least mean I can equip myself with some gold boots, so the piglins will be warded off a little bit. I can make myself a diamond pickaxe, and we can go to the nether looking for a fortress. Now, I'm going to get out to the surface and take a look around at where we are now that I feel a bit more confident that I'm not going to be destroyed by piglins when I do. There's a couple of hoglins within striking distance, but hopefully we can take care of them nice and easily. Unfortunately, the hoglins are pretty much everywhere because there's such open nether terrain around here that they aren't really prevented from spawning by foliage and any of the stuff that would normally do that. But let's see if we can take a quick look around. We might even catch some soul sand as part of natural nether generation, even though most of the time you get it in soul sand valleys now. It might have generated as part of the nether landscape as well. It's funny, but the nether generation being so messed up and it being netherrack everywhere kind of reminds me of how boring the nether used to be before 1.16. So this is kind of a trip down memory lane, but I'm not even seeing any soul sand spawning as part of natural generation. There's warped forest over here. We're going into that right now by the looks of the fog color changing, but yeah, still no soul sand and no sign of a nether fortress. So let's try heading in the opposite direction from our portal and see if we can dig ourselves towards one in this direction. And not if we encounter lava, though. Yep, welcome to the Soul Sand Valley biome, where there's not a whole lot of soul sand, unfortunately. Gonna build myself a little obelisk here to make sure I know which way to come back, but it looks like once again we're headed towards a crimson forest. From here, I'm not certain what my options are, because I don't really see myself being able to get hold of a nether fortress this way. Bastions like these sometimes have that little nether wart garden down there. Unfortunately, this looks like a Hoglin Stables bastion, so doesn't look like we're going to be getting any soul sand from there, but yeah, looking around, we really don't have many options. Okay, definitely time to try Plan C, because Plans A and B went disastrously wrong. I think we can gather a little bit of gold ore from around here, try and barter with some piglins, and maybe sooner or later one of them is going to be able to trade me some soul sand. I really don't want to rely on piglin bartering for stuff like this, because piglins barter about 20 different items, and it's always just pure luck that you get the item that you actually want in these cases, but if we can get enough gold, then that increases our chances a fair amount, I think. And here's a likely candidate. Let's see how many gold ingots it takes for him to give me some soul sand. Finally! Oh my goodness, that took almost all the gold I had. I may as well trade the last of it to him just in case. Look at that, he just immediately gave me a bunch more. That's not too bad. So we have 7 soul sand to work with. After all that, finally we can walk out of the nether with what we came in here for. Now, if only they sold warped funguses as well, my life would be complete right about now, but it looks like we'll just have to head home with the soul sand. Alright, now we've got hold of that, let's get out of here. And I feel like if I have the time, I might just spawn myself in a warped fungus, try and get a strider through a nether portal, and ride it up and down here. But unfortunately, a warped fungus just isn't possible in this snapshot. Oh well. Well, it looks like I turned up in a desert village right in the middle of a zombie siege. But I guess the zombies end up burning in the sun anyway, and they don't spawn as husks in a desert biome, which is kind of interesting. But anyway, we've got ourselves out of the cave. We can now pick up a little bit more bread, and I think we will head back to the village that I earmarked for our next experiment. I think it should be over in this direction near some of the jungle biome. Although I will make a brief stop off in this ocean biome over here to grab some kelp, because that's really going to help us with the water elevator. Oh, it feels good to be back and reset my spawn and finally dump off all of this stuff in a chest somewhere. So we have a bunch of blocks. I'll probably gather a few more from the trees and stuff around here, which, you know, honestly aren't many, but we could maybe replant a couple of oaks and jungle trees around here, and we can actually start to set up for the villager trade. So what we need to do is make a water elevator from here at roughly Y70 all the way up to Y320, which is going to be a pretty tall order. But of course, now we've got the kelp, we've got some bones that we can use for bone meal, we can potentially turn a single bucket of water into a ton of water sources, and the soul sand will propel us directly up to the top of the world. From there, of course, we will also be able to set up a fall where we can fall directly down, and if we fall within the area of a block, we can catch ourselves in a water bucket towards the end and hopefully gain that advancement from falling all the way from the top of the world to the bottom. For the record, even though we can't do the strider advancement in survival right now, it is here in the nether advancements. Feels like home for taking a strider on a long ride in a lava lake in the overworld. I'm kind of curious to see if you could just saddle up a strider and have it pathfind around in a lava lake by itself, but the warped fungus on a stick kind of indicates that you are supposed to be actively riding it, so I have a feeling it would take a long time to just let it wander around of its own accord. Meanwhile, over in the adventure tab, if we look down here, you can already see that we've got a sound of music from the jukebox there, and I believe right here is Star Trader, which is the one we're going for right now to trade with a villager at the build height limit. So without further ado, let's start collecting some resources and let's build this water elevator. Well, I am finding out why this advancement is called Star Trader. I have reached the build limit. It says the height limit for building is 319. We are standing at Y320 right now, and I cannot see the ground. I can just about see the outline of some terrain over there, but we have pillared about 250 blocks from the ground. And that was actually pretty simple to do with wood blocks, because of course each oak log will break down into 4 planks, so all I had to do was gather 250 logs, which doesn't seem like such a tall order. I can imagine people doing this with cobblestone or glass or something like that and having a much harder time. But now I should be able to place a water bucket here and then drop off the back of this, because I have placed a water source at ground level as well. And here is hoping that I stick the landing, because it is a long way to fall. And of course the farmer is immediately in my bed when I get down here. Now I think I should have beaten the water down here. I think that is probably still flowing down the pipe, but when it reaches the bottom here, it does have an easy space to fall into, and yeah, looks like it is on its way right now, but it is taking its time. When the water does eventually fall down here, we will have some kelp waiting for it. We can fill the entire thing up with kelp thanks to the bones that we've gathered. We have a decent amount of bone meal. I'm hoping that will do for the moment. There it is, and splashed. There we go. Although I think each bone meal here should only really increase the height of the kelp plant by 1, so chances are we'll need a little bit more bone meal, but that's fine because there are plenty of composters around and we could always go and kill some skeletons if we need to. Either way, bone meal can increase the height of a kelp plant pretty much indefinitely on Java Edition, so we will know that we reach the top of the plant when it can no longer grow. And in the meantime, I'd probably better get myself a quick water bucket from here. Oh look, some skeletons have dropped off some bones in the night. That's perfect. So at last, we are ready. The grand experiment is about to begin. We have this thing all the way bone mealed, all the way up to the top. So now, in theory, I should be able to break the blocks of kelp in here, and the entire thing should become a soul sand bubble column from the surface all the way up to the new build height, at which point we'll have to build some sort of platform because the villagers up here will need to be able to trade with me. And which one of you is going to be my trading partner? Which of you? I think probably one of the farmers, although I will need to make sure I have enough stuff I can trade with them, because I did just turn all of the hay blocks from basically every village I could find in the area, the desert village and the savannah village as well, into bone meal, thanks to a little auto composter setup so that I could have enough bone meal to do the entire thing. But let's break this block of kelp out first, and that entire thing has just become a soul sand bubble column. I cannot wait to see how that goes. The next thing, of course, is that I will also need to dig this all the way down to the bedrock and place a water bucket down there, because the plan is to drop from the top up there and get the second advancement basically straight away. I was filling this in as I went, but I think I need to dig down a second block all the way down here just so I can have something to get myself back out again afterwards, so I can leave a water source up here somewhere, because otherwise I'm having to climb using water sources like this, and it gets a little bit difficult to do. I think having a second bucket of water is really going to help there as well, so I'm going to dig this all the way down once again to the bedrock if I can, and then hopefully from there we should be able to drop off the top of this thing, and if we pick the right side to drop off, then hopefully we'll land in a source of water right at the bottom of the world. And of course the difficulty in here was that I had no idea what kind of environment we would be digging downwards into, but luckily it seems like there are some fairly narrow, flat kind of noodle caves that run in this area, and so we're not digging down into a massive cavern or something like that with a lava lake at the bottom of it, unless I happen to dig through that in the next 32 blocks or so, which seems unlikely. We are probably going to come out just on a patch of bedrock in a fairly accessible location. I'm not certain what our final destination coordinate has to be here, but I presume it needs to be as low to the bottom of the world as possible, and that's as far as we're going to go. At y -59, we hit the bedrock, and so at this point is where I'm going to have to try and water bucket my way back up to the surface. Yep, I can confirm this is definitely much easier to do when you have two blocks open side by side and the water can flow into both of them. I'm actually doing this a lot faster than I did when I was coming up the first time around. Okay, right, there we go, back at the top, and now if we let all of that water run down, by the time we drop off of this, we should be able to hit a water source at the bottom of the world, and hopefully that will be enough to count. I don't think we have to take full damage and die or anything like that, although an MLG water bucket from that height would be pretty special. For now, though, let us grab one of the farmers from down here, and maybe we should trade with them first, because we're probably going to have to take a composter up there so that they don't end up just losing their trades, or alternatively, we have to make sure that they have a trade locked in that we can use once we're there. Otherwise, at this range, they might actually lose their workstation. And the fields here are somewhat randomly planted, but hopefully I should be able to get somebody with either a carrot trade I can use twice or a carrot and a potato trade in the same farmer. I think this guy should actually do. Yeah, there we go. We got what a deal. We should be able to get this guy on board, and now we just got to row him over there. This guy just needs to get in the boat like so, and hopefully we should be able to transport him over to our little water elevator. And then we got to figure out which of these is his workstation. I guess we'll try with this one. We'll put that at the back here, and oh, yep, that's going all the way to bedrock level. I built a little wall up around him and his buddy in the boat here. Hopefully they shouldn't be able to get out. The only way he can pathfind should be into this location, and who knows, maybe the leather worker is coming for a ride as well. For now, though, we need to make sure that we can get all the way up to the top of the world using this water elevator, and that there's a platform for him to stand on once we get to the top here. So here's hoping he survives the trip. Thankfully, you don't suffocate in bubble columns, so this is a really long trip, but we should make it all the way up to the top of the world, hop up and down a little bit, and then we'll be out on top of the platform here. And now this side here is the one that I should then be dropping down from, and I'm gonna have to catch myself on the way down because there's no way I'll be able to do this otherwise. I suppose I could do the boring thing and just drop a water source off the side here, and then I'll be able to catch myself in that when it hits the ground in about, I don't know, 5 minutes time. When you're up there, it honestly feels a little bit like playing Skyblock, to be honest with you. It kind of feels like you're gonna fall into the void if you can't see the ground from up there. Like, if I so much as fell from this height, I would probably still die of fall damage. This is a little bit ridiculous. No, there we go. It's all flooding the village now. I can safely hop out into that. But it looks like I built the platform the right way around. So it's time for us to let this man out of the boat. Let's take the carrots with us, make sure that he's got the right trade. He has, very good. And if we can get these two out of the boat, then let's make a trade at build height. Yes, there we go. He's paired to the workstation. He's off. And we should be on our way to making a trade. All manner of things could go wrong here, but it looks like he's survived the trip. And if we get this trade, there we go. Start trader. We made it. Doing a trade at the build height limit is a pretty ridiculous thing, if I'm honest with you. It's kind of, I don't imagine a great deal of people will want to do something like this in survival, but there it is. We got the advancement. Fantastic. And now that all of that water is flowing down that way, I had probably better wait for that to disappear. Oh, we're getting another farmer. It looks like somebody else pathfinded over here, and we're going to have to send him down to the bedrock now. But like I was saying, I think we need to wait for that water to go away, because I expect the water will actually be flowing into the giant hole we just made, and that might end up blocking our fall down and make sure that we can't fall all the way down to bedrock level. So I'm just going to have to wait once again another 5 minutes for all of that water to go away. I kind of expect that the intention behind this advancement is that you start off on a mountain peak and you maybe build a villager trading hall on the highest possible mountain you can find. I don't think you're supposed to do it this way, but I couldn't find a village that was on a mountain or really any higher than about Y70. The savannah and the desert villages were pretty low to the ground as well. So yeah, I think this was about what I could manage, and I think it worked out pretty well in the end. Well, my star trader and I are now watching the sun set and the moon rise from up here, and the world looks kind of beautiful down there with all the shapes cut out of it and everything. But I think the water should now have basically flowed away. I could always up my render distance and see if I can actually see the water from here. Yeah, it's a little bit jerky, but it looks like most of the water has vanished. So here's hoping I'll be able to drop down to the bedrock. Let me turn that back down. Let's set that at 16 chunks again, and let's see how we get on. I can always reset this if I need to, so fingers crossed, here comes another advancement. And whoa, I feel like I should be able to hear the wind rushing, and bam! There's another villager down here. And we didn't get the advancement. How high do I need to be? How low do I need to get? I am a little bit confused by that. Does my location need to be even lower in the world? Do I need to be, like, down here? How low does this even get? Okay, that is at Y63. Do I need to drop off this low? Maybe I should dig out another hole and give that a try. What? I'm trying to watch this water go away, and I think Our friend the farmer has finally left his perch and come back down to Earth. Well, maybe if we can trade with him at the bottom of the world as well, that'll be something he can add to his resume. Okay, so now having determined that that corner right there, the one that you don't see any water in right away, is the corner that I need, the lowest possible point of bedrock in the world, I have placed a water bucket down there, and if I don't have to fall into a water bucket, then I don't know what you're supposed to do. But I'm going to hop up here, we're going to let it get dark again, and I'm going to drop myself in, because hopefully that water should have dispersed by the time I make it up this bubble column. And our farmer friend is still up here, so I'm guessing the farmer that dropped down there earlier was a completely different one. Now, I believe it should just be this block here that we need to fall down from. I am crossing my fingers that that is the case, because otherwise I don't think I will have aligned this right. And frankly, in terms of alignment, I'm kind of leaving myself in the hands of fate once I get down there, because there's a couple of blocks that could very easily stop my fall prematurely if they get in the way. Any words of wisdom, Mr. Farmer, before we take our plunge here? I guess not, right? He's a man of few words. Well, I'm crossing my fingers that all that water should be dispersed by now. I've given it a couple of minutes to all flow away, so crossing my fingers. Here we go. And once again, the village swims into view. Looks like we're in the right place, and bam! There we go! Finally. So you genuinely do. The water wasn't even gone, but luckily it didn't all flow into that corner. But you do have to drop from Y320 all the way down to Y-63, the entire length of the world to the lowest point of bedrock. That is quite the feat, I gotta tell you, and we'll check out where that appears in the advancement tree in just a second once I've made it back onto dry land. Well, there it is again. We've done it. Free fall from the build limit to the bottom of the world and survive. I didn't realize and survive was even part of that, but let's see where that appears in our tree here. It's definitely not in the regular Minecraft tree. Is it in husbandry somewhere? I don't believe so. Where do we find that? Oh, okay, it's right here. It's this one with the water bucket. And I guess the water bucket is actually kind of a hint there that you can break your fall with water, which isn't really hinted at anywhere else. It's just something you find out while you're playing. That's wild. Once again, I can't really imagine that many people actually wanting to go for that unless you are an absolute completionist, because the setup for this feels like a lot of work as I step back here and take a look at this platform all the way up at the build limit, and I feel like this bed is now the danger zone for any villagers growing up here. But folks, I know I said I was going to dip into some of the other aspects of this snapshot afterwards, but I think we're probably going to call it there, because this has been quite the adventure, and it's really late in the evening, so I need to go ahead and get this video edited and get some sleep. Thank you so much for watching this episode where we took a look at this snapshot for this week. Hope you folks enjoyed seeing these advancements in action. Hopefully we'll get to ride a Strider sometime in future, but until then, take care. My name's been Pixlriffs. I'll see you guys soon. Bye for now.